said that Josh McCown would be the player coach for Darnold. Now, I don't think Josh McCown can't do that job. I think he absolutely can. But to not hire someone is kind of ridiculous when you have a rookie quarterback. Yeah, McCown should be in his ear all the time, but so should someone else. Someone should be watching from, on high or something and pointing out the stuff that McCown misses because McCown's human. The more two heads are better than one there.
And I think, and this is weird, a lot of people disagree with me, but I think if I'm looking for a coach who knows offense, I want to go with someone who played defense. Because, if you played offense, you know offense, but what do you know about defense? When you play defense, you have to know much more about the offense, except for the quarterback position. You have to know much more about the offense than an offensive player does about the defense. Again, like I said, with the exception of the quarterback. Because the quarterback should know what every player does in every situation on both sides of the ball. But a running back, they just need to know my guy is going to block for me, and I just need to hit the gap.
Obviously it's a little more involved than that, but when it boils down to it, the defense is reacting, and therefore they need to, be thinking a step ahead, whereas offense, especially like receivers, they're making the move. They're running a route. They need to know the playbook, sure, but they don't need to study the defense. That's kind of where the coaches and the quarterback come in because they're the ones they're drawing up the plays to exploit those weaknesses. So I do understand that.
Right, and you're kind of seeing it with some of the newer coaches. Like when you think of a first-year head coach who is a defensive guy, you don't think of aggressive offense, right? You think, I want my defense to do what my defense is going to do. But look at Mike Vrabel. All the chances he's taking, all the offensive risks that he is taking, letting Marcus Mariota stay in and do some fourth down work. Instead of trying to tie a game in overtime, trusting your team to get 2 fourth downs to win the game against the Eagles. So that right there, I think, lends a little bit of credence to what I'm saying. Mike Vrabel knows how offense works because it's been his job to stop it.
Right. Now, as far as who the Jets will hire, I do hope it is someone that, is offensively minded. I think that's the better thing.
If it's not John DeFilippo, they failed.
That's a good choice. I've heard rumors of Harbaugh wanting to come back from Michigan. I don't really see that happening, though.
If it's not...
I would welcome him with open arms.
If it's not John DeFilippo, the quarterback whisperer, that will be available, then you've failed as an organization.
I wouldn't go that hard yet because there are a lot of potential coaches. I personally would like to look at Andy Reid's coaching tree. Who's his OC?
Andy Reid's offensive coordinator?
Yeah.
Right now in Kansas City? Let me look. One second. Bieniemy. I don't know who he is. Eric Bieniemy. That's his name. So, honestly, for me, like I said, for the Jets, the only coach that makes sense for what they are trying to do now and what they should try and do in the future is John DeFilippo. You will be handing him a premier young quarterback who everyone agrees has such great potential that the Jets have to be an extremely attractive job right now for a guy who wants to have that young quarterback. So that's where you're going to have you're going to have an advantage. The only other of all the teams that are, coaches on the hot seat. My God, I can't talk tonight. With coaches on the hot seat, the only other team that I think would be maybe attractive to an offensive coordinator who is a quarterback guy would be the Cowboys, if you think you can make Dak Prescott what the Cowboys need him to be. But again, he's a very specific type of quarterback, and so you need to have someone who believes that they can make him what they want him to be or accentuate what he does well to make him, no one's saying that he needs to be Hall of Famer, but, make him a premier athlete in the NFL. So for me, when it comes down to quarterbacks, it's, if you're looking for a job where you want a young quarterback, it's the Jets or the Cowboys. Now, depending on what happens in Tampa Bay, if you think, you can get Jameis Winston to stop being an asshole, because he is talented, we'll see.
I think he's gone, honestly.
I think so, too.
But yeah, I do think DiFilippo is the premier coach this offseason. That being said, if yes, the Jets would love to have him, I'm sure, but there's a lot of opportunities on the table for him. So, are the Jets the most attractive destination?
Yes.
I don't know. You think yes?
I think yes. I'll give you a few reasons. One, they've obviously shown the direction they want to go in is, having this big arm talent quarterback. So you got a young quarterback. All right, you've addressed the areas where your biggest weakness is, and that is offensive line and wide receivers. All right, so you have a ton of money to play around. You can get wide receivers in free agency. Offensive line you can address through the draft. Again, no one's expecting them to make the playoffs this year, right?
Right.
Next year, it depends on what happens. If the coach comes out and says, hey, we are 2 years away from being a contender, here's my plan. I want to draft line, wide receiver, pick up wide receivers in offseason, and basically lays out, this is what I want to do. This is my plan. We're going to do it. We're going to win. Could you as a Jets fan be like, okay, I can wait a second year? No, if the new head coach says this is the plan, if you think it's going to be anything else, you're fooling yourself. You wouldn't be like, okay, understand, let's just make sure we get done what we need to do.
I mean, what's the plan there, though? I mean, I'm not going to be expecting greatness the first year from a new head coach, but I am going to be expecting that head coach to implement their system, to get the team on board that system, and to start showing where the team is headed. I'm not going to accept a new head coach saying this is just a whatever year. I'm not going to be expecting success, but the new head coach better be looking to make improvements and be looking to show what he's got. Right.
No, I'm not saying that the new coach is going to be like, it is what it is. No, I'm saying let's say it is John DiFilippo. He says, okay, we have our quarterback in place. We have a running back that when he's really good, when he's on, he's really good in Isaiah Crowell. So we're going to try and accentuate what he does well. This draft, we're going to target offensive linemen that will also help Sam Darnold. We're going to try and get wide receivers, but it's going to be a longer process. We're also going to need next year's draft. So, if they lay it out, we need offensive line and we need wide receivers. They've obviously diagnosed the problem. Here's our plan. We're going to draft linemen. We're going to throw a ton of money at free agency. If we can get Le'Veon Bell, we're going to do it. Basically just diagnose it, act like a doctor. Here's the problem. Here's the medicine. It's going to take some time, but it will work.
I mean, I think those things are obvious. practice, and I don't think that's an issue. As long as there's a plan that they're taking actual concrete steps to do, then sure. Now, a lot of that stuff does fall on the GM, though. That's another reason I'm a little concerned with keeping Mac is that he knows that he's on a somewhat hot seat, even if he's got more than a single year. So I'm worried that he's going to just go crazy with overspending when what we need is, yes, we absolutely need some spending. There are some things to address. We should probably try and get some semblance of a pass rush in free agency.
Oh no, definitely not. Definitely not.
What?
Don't go after pass rush in free agency. Not when 6 of the top 10 draft picks will probably be defensive linemen.
Well, the thing is, I don't want to draft a defensive lineman, even though I know we'll have the chance to. I want to trade back and get O-line, and get a king's ransom to do so, because obviously everyone's going to be going after Bosa, Williamson,
Oliver.
Yeah. So, what I'd love to do is trade back and build the O-line through the draft, because that's you can never find O-line in free agency. Even the Johnson's got Solder for a ton of money, and he's mediocre, because there's just a dearth of talent in the O-line in the NFL right now.
Yeah, the ones that are good are staying where they are, except for when they start aging, and teams can usually diagnose pretty well when an aging lineman is going to start losing it. Like when the Cowboys let Ronald Leary go, he was one of the best guards in the game, and basically just let him walk for nothing. 2 years in Denver, done. Instead of signing him to that long contract. So it is tough to get offensive linemen in free agency, because you're going to pay top money to keep your most important player upright.
Right. But that is what the Jets need to be concerned with, is keeping Sam Darnold protected, keeping your very likely franchise quarterback protected. I think that has to be priority one, absolutely. And yeah, we might not get a pass rusher like we want this season, and yeah, there's a lot of talent there, and that's unfortunate. But we've got bigger fish to fry, and sometimes you can get a decent pass rusher in free agency. Now that's not to say they'll strike gold or anything, but you never know what can happen. Some teams like the Raiders give up players like Mac because they can be dumb. No one seems to do that with O-line.
You're going to see a lot of pass rush be available, and I really hate this, but DeMarcus Lawrence probably won't be a Cowboy next year, and he's a, for lack of a better term, fucking monster.
Yeah, I would absolutely love to see the Jets pay him in the offseason. I know you don't want that, but I mean, hey, at least he'd be closer to home. If you go to another Jets game, you can see him in person.
Nah, I think one Jets game is enough for my lifetime. Although they didn't do too poorly in the game that we went to.
Yeah, no, that was a much more entertaining game than this one. I don't even know if I told you I was there at this game.
I figured it out by your Facebook status, but
yeah, I think I forgot to mention it because we were off last week. But yeah, the most entertaining part of the game last week was a fan about 2 sections away from mine started fighting about 8 New Jersey state troopers. So that was about the best part of the game. That happened around the third quarter or so, and after that, I didn't see anything else because we left.
Was it a Jets fan or a Bills fan?
I don't know. He wasn't wearing any jersey. He was around both sets of fans. I think it was a fight between the two fandoms. So I would guess it was a Jets